This treasonous person on your screen is Catherine Zappone. She is the Minister for Children in the nation of Ireland. The reason that she is in the news is because she is heading the effort to bring 40 Islamic insurgents into Ireland, according to the story that we have on the screen, which is the journal.ie. She will bring those 40, quote, children who are teenagers, ages 14 to 17, into the country at a cost of 11.3 million euros, which translates into $12 million. So they are spending about $300,000 per Islamic insurgent. They call them refugees. And that is money that apparently is being diverted from Irish children. So they set up the department, what we would call the Department of Children, they call it the Ministry of Children, for the express purpose of taking care of Irish children, and then they blow the money on Islamic insurgents who shouldn't be in Europe in the first place. There is a prevailing question, and that is, why are they doing this? Why do they want to overrun Western society with Muslims? One gets the idea that they have some devious intention, and I don't think it's just helping Muslims, helping refugees, because there are plenty of ways to help refugees in the Middle East. They could send them, for example, to, say, Saudi Arabia, or Iran, or Jordan, or any other of probably a dozen states in the Middle East that could very well take care of them. And if they have to spend money, they could spend the money there. They don't have to bring these Islamic insurgents into Ireland or Germany or anywhere else. Here's what the story says. This again is Catherine Zappone's photo. It says, "My understanding in speaking to Tusla and my officials is that all of them are boys and they're 16 to 17 years old." I said 14, I should have said 16. So we really have to think about their needs and experiences. Boys becoming young men who have been in conflict and terror and have been without their families. So that's what we're getting. That's what we're getting ready for. And then it goes on to say that there are 40 of these people, which she identifies as minors. And the cost, again, is 11.3 million euros, which translates into a little bit more than $12 million. Then it goes on to say the spokesperson also said that when the migrant children turn 18, they will receive the same support available to children in state care who turn 18. So once again, they're taking money away from Irish children and giving it to Islamic children. The question is, what are these, another question is, not the question, but another question is, what are these teenagers going to offer to Ireland? Do they have any job skills? Do they have any family backgrounds? Do they have loyalties to Islam? Do they understand Western culture? Are they assimilating? Well, let's take a look. This is an article that was published back January 2015, 2 years ago prior to this recording. And it says here that many Muslims are failing to integrate into Irish society in spite of their best efforts. And this particular article says that now we have a sizable Muslim population in Ireland, estimated to be around 65,000 and predicted to grow to 100,000 in the next 5 years or so. And after that, where is it going to go? After 5 years. One of the best parts of some of these articles is to read the comment section. You probably have noticed that a lot of these left-leaning publications have just flat out deleted the comment section because the people making comments are sometimes brutally honest. Not always, but often they are. Let's take a look. The very first guy, there's 266 comments in this particular article. I'll give you a link. You can go there and try to make a comment yourself if you want to. And he simply says that 11.3 million, again, that's 12 million in US dollars, is an average of 250,000 per person. And that sounds extreme, which this guy says that's a lot of razors and shaving cream. Why did he say that? Well, that's because the children, these migrant children who said they were teenagers and allowed to enter the United Kingdom, Many of them turned out to be in their 20s and even their 30s. They take these guys and put them in school with little girls, little British girls. And one of their biggest needs was shavers or razors and shaving cream. Here it says they're fleeing the war zone in France, and they're not European, so they must be telling the truth about their ages, requesting medical evidence in the absence of birth certificates or passports would be racist, don't you know? Okay, why are they fleeing the war zone in France? Oh, here's a better question. Why is there a war zone in France? You know, these guys are coming from the Calais area in France, the so-called jungle. Why is there a war zone in France? Because they brought it with them. There was a war zone in the Middle East and the Muslim countries, which they fled, but actually they brought the war zone with them to Calais, France. Now they're going to bring the war zone with them to Ireland. He says, I'm pretty sure they will have family popping out of the woodwork, so multiply that 40 by 2 or 3. In other words, once they arrive in Ireland, they're going to find their fathers and mothers and their family, and they're going to bring them with them. So multiply 40 to 100. I think he's being, he's probably being considerate saying 2 or 3, but he's saying that 40 is going to turn into 80 or 120. This person says, in fairness, we Irish are so lucky to have a minister of Zappona's quality in charge of these young boys' future. Has anybody spotted the leader in our country later as he seems to be missing in action? So this guy thinks that this treasonous person who is destroying Irish culture is somehow a good person, but that seems to be the minority. This person wants to know how a 16-year-old can get from Syria, which is in the middle of a full-scale war, through Turkey and then cross over into Italy and Greece and up into Calais on their own. That's a minimum of 4 countries. Keep in mind that a lot of these 16-year-old kids weren't 16 when they left their point of origin, if in fact they were that young. Chances are they were older. So that's the point I think he's making. Either they were older when they left or they're having help. Somebody's doing this on purpose. This guy calculates that to be 815 euros per day, which is probably $1,000 a day. I don't know about you, but I could live on $1,000 a day. This guy gets a little bit sarcastic, and he says, they're child prodigies. Meanwhile, the world is full of girls. Keep in mind, this Zappone pretends to be a feminist. I call them pseudo-feminists because they're really not feminists at all. If they cared about women truly, they would not be importing Islam into Ireland. Meanwhile, the world is full of girls who will never have the freedom to escape their front door, let alone get to Calais alone. In other words, they're being brutalized in their own homes. And people who vote for the likes of Zappone and every other cowardly virtue signaling Irish politicians still believe that this resettlement policy is somehow ethical. Or at least they pretend to. I don't think they believe it's ethical. I think they know they're destroying Western civilization, and I think they perceive that as a good thing. So that would be the only ethics they would see in it. There really is no ethos. Then he says it's a faulty moral compass in Europe these days. Have you noticed almost everybody making a comment as opposed to this? Okay, here's a guy called Open Borders. Look, I'm not sure, but I think that's a photo of George Soros. He says, excellent news, great to see Ireland leading the way in helping children who are victims of this humanitarian crisis. We will reap great benefits in the long and short term as a society. Geez, I wonder what that would be. Riots? People going on your welfare system and draining taxpayers. What I think happens probably is this. I think Soros-funded organizations have trolls who are paid to go on comment sections like this and say stupid things like he just said. Now, if you scroll down here, you will see this guy's photo pops up again and again. It appears to me this guy either has a whole lot of time on his hands or he's a paid troll who's a busybody there he is again, who has nothing better to do than counteract common sense, the normal thinking of rational people. Well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this on social media. What's happening in Ireland is happening all over the world. They are destroying Western culture by design. That is their ethics. They think they're doing a good thing. And again, this, in my opinion, is a treasonous person, and she should not, in my opinion, she shouldn't be free to roam the streets in Ireland, let alone be the head of the Ministry of Children. Give the video a thumbs up, share it on social media. Don't forget to subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section.
To get YouTube updates, click the bell, check the box, save.